Hi there, my name is Suzanne Lawson and thank you so much for signing up for this webinar for monthly period pains. I'm kind of sorry that you've had to do this, but I am quite excited to share with you the 5 things that I know really help. So here I am in my home and I've got Bonnie and Heidi, my little dog, somewhere in the background. So I might bark in between recording this, but I'll try and keep that to a minimum. So I'm going to be your health coach for about 90 minutes on this webinar, at the end of which you'll have access to an hour and 20-minute yoga and meditation video. Don't worry if you don't have any experience, you don't need any. It's just a gentle practice. You don't need any props. I will talk you through what you need to join me on the mat for that practice. And so let's get started. I'll just share my screen. I'm just going to pause the video for now and share my screen and get the first presentation slide up. So hi again, here we are back to our beginning of our webinar. So webinar for monthly painful periods. So I'm sorry that you're here first of all, but I am glad that I can get this opportunity to share with you my 5 ways that will radically change your life if you put the effort in. So we're going to just move on quickly and I'm just going to share with you what we are going to cover today. So, as you can see, it's quite a lot of things that we're going to cover. So, just introduction about why we're here, about me, about the globe. So, just some statistics for you. Then we're going to look at the medical aspects of pain in gynecology and what might be going on, what the names are. Then we're going to look at hormones. We're going to look at 3 in particular. And then we're going to look at those 3 hormones and look at the effect of what happens when they're too high, what happens when they're too low. Then we look at the cycle of ovulation and how that manages and governs pain. And you'll have the opportunity to use a cycle diary. Then we get on to my passion, the holistic side, and the what, the why, and the how. So in terms of the 5 steps that I've given you, I've actually merged them into 3 areas for the purposes of this webinar and for the purposes of you actually discovering how to implement this into your life. So we've got love your body, discover your rest, and enjoy your life. Those are the 3 key steps. We'll then cover the 5 steps again, just to make sure we're aligned. Then it's all about taking control, about how you can develop this learning further. And then we're going to have the opportunity at the end of this webinar for it's about an hour and 20-minute practice. Don't worry, you don't need any experience. There's a little video at the end to explain what you need. You can obviously do that at the end of this webinar, or you can come back and do it another day. And then it's just about how to stay in touch and what else I can do to help. So what I would say is, obviously we're going to be together for about 90 minutes or so. So maybe go and grab a drink, pen, paper. You might want to take some notes, but you will receive a handout covering what we've covered. So don't worry too much if you just want to sit back and listen, and I'll get moving on with the slides. So delighted that you're here. Thank you so much. So let us move on to the intro. So yeah, fed up of pain. I know how it feels. You'll get to know a little bit more about me as we connect, but I've had this pain pretty much all my life since a child, and it's took many years to understand my own body, and this is what this webinar is all about, giving you those tools and the key to understanding what's going on. You might not have been diagnosed, and that's okay. You can still really effectively manage what's going on without any diagnosis. you might at the end of this webinar feel that you have a voice to go and see a medical practitioner if you haven't already. I know sometimes it can be quite worrying, really, to know what questions to ask. And for me, I thought everyone was in pain. I thought I was just being a wimp. So I do understand that if you want help with going to your doctor, or you need some pointers on questions to ask, feel free to reach out at the end of the webinar. So I do get it, and I do understand about the whole voice thing as well, about how do you explain to other people about this. It can be quite embarrassing. In the past, I've had male managers at work who really do not get it, or didn't get it. I think it might be getting a little bit better in society now, but it's still not as good as it should be. And actually, if you're under the age of 18 and you've joined this call, I really do urge you to get in touch with me and send me details of your parents, and I can have a chat with your parents if you wish, because I wished I had somebody who I could have talked to at that age that understood what I was feeling. And as we get on to this a little bit more, you'll find out a little bit more about me and what kind of happened to me when I was about 12. So welcome again. I'm really keen to just share with you what I know, how you can change your lifestyle and create different choices to manage that pain. So let's move on. So as you know, my name is Suzanne, and I really do truly believe that my holistic wellness started a bit too late, if I'm honest. That's why I'm here today, so that I can share with you what I know. So as I've said, whether you've been diagnosed or not, you can really find effective and simple ways. And it's about having that control. It's about knowing what's happening in your body and understanding what you can do and how you can change it. So for me, I've suffered from endometriosis for over 20 years, many other symptoms and infections. And by the time I was diagnosed at age 32, it was so severe, there was very little that they could do. So that's when I started to investigate alternative ways to treat this pain. I've now had an oophorectomy, which is the removal of the ovaries and the fallopian tubes. I had a very large cyst growing on one of my ovaries during COVID lockdown, which wasn't the best. And unfortunately, I'm still suffering from endometriosis pain now. So surgery isn't always the answer, and that's something that you would discuss with your surgeons. But what I can share with you in this webinar is ways in which to reduce that pain without the need of constant medication and perhaps going down that surgical route, because it is quite a traumatic thing to do. So let's look at some facts and figures across the globe. So I couldn't believe this when I read this. So it's estimated we've got 3,905,000,000 women in the world. Hurrah! And if you look at the fibroids percentage, that's 80% of the women in the world have fibroids, which is quite amazing. We'll get on to what fibroids are in a moment. But that's around 3,124,000,000 women. Now, I've had fibroids. So like I say, we'll get on to that in a moment. This is just giving you an overview. Then if we look at painful periods and cysts, similar kind of figure, 20%, 976 million women. Endo is 10% at 390 million. And then the no period or lack of periods coming in at about 4%, which is around 160 million. Now, I kind of think that may be because people aren't really bothered about reporting whether or not they're having a period, and particularly if they're not in pain, why would they? And I think those figures are only probably coming to light when a woman is struggling to get pregnant. So that's why that's probably quite low. I think that's probably a bit higher than that, really, realistically. And then infections, we have 400 million. So we'll get onto that in a moment. So that's quite a lot of women in pain. And we do that thing where we just get on with it. And as I've said, my pain has always been very excruciating, and when we get onto the cycle bit soon, I'll explain to you how my cycle was, but I didn't share my pain with anybody else because I thought that everyone else was in the same pain that I was in, and I just thought I was a wimp. I just thought, well, I've just got to get on with it. But actually we don't, and it's not right that we do. So let's move on to look at the medical reasons for our pain. So number one, medical terminology here is dysmenorrhea, which is translating painful menstruation. So that is when you get lower abdominal pain just before or during menstruation. For some of you, it could just be mere discomfort, but for others, as I've said, for me, it's very, very severe. Then number two, if we look at polycystic ovarian syndrome, that's POX for short. I suffered from this too. So this is a problem with your hormones that happens during your reproductive years. So if you have POX, you may not have periods very often, or you may have periods that last many days. So for me, my periods lasted many days. You may also have too much of a hormone called androgen in the body. We're not going to cover that today, but that's something that you can think about if you think that you fall into this category. And with POX, what happens is you get many small sacs of fluid that develop along the outer edge of the ovary, and these are called cysts, and the small fluid-filled cysts contain immature eggs, and these are called follicles. So you've got your cyst containing eggs, immature eggs, which are called follicles, and the follicles fail to release the eggs regularly. Now the exact cause of POX is unknown. Early diagnosis and treatment can really help. One of the treatments is weight loss, which we all know can sometimes just be impossible. But what we do need to take into account with POX is you have a higher risk of contracting type 2 diabetes and heart disease as you get older. Now, what fascinated me when I went on my journey of looking into gynecological health was how it affects so much in our bodies, how it affects the long-term effects of our health and also all of our organs. So it's just something to be mindful of. I'm not going to worry you about anything that could happen. It's just if you are having problems and you haven't had it medically diagnosed, then it's probably a good time that you do see a medical practitioner. Then we get on to endometriosis and fibroids. I've popped these in the same thing. Both involve abnormally growing tissue. However, fibroids are benign growths that appear on or within the uterine wall, whereas endometriosis is caused by tissue that is normally found in the uterus. And when the endometrial tissue extends beyond the uterus and it attaches to the organs, with me it was the bowel. It could be your intestine, it could be any other organs. Me, it was the bowel. So in my 30s, I had a laparoscopy and I was identified it was the bowel. Apparently it was quite severe. By the time I had my oophorectomy when I was 49, it was now stuck to every organ in my body. And obviously it can also stick around the ovaries, fallopian tubes, and and it's a bit like, imagine super glue stuck to all these tiny little fibers, and it just sits there, and then super glue attaches again and again and again, and it just keeps attaching and attaching and attaching, and obviously that's just going to build up and cause pain. Then we have amenorrhea, which we touched on before, which is an absence of a period or missed menstruation. So you might have a normal menstruation cycle, but you might miss that bleed. So common causes of this is not always known really. It could be caused by lower body weight, excess exercise, so excessive exercise, mental stress, eating problems such as anorexia, and taking certain drugs such as birth control. Obviously, missed periods will happen when you're pregnant, and it can also be a hormonal imbalance as well. So again, if you don't have regular periods, that's not really healthy and it needs investigating. And then finally, pelvic inflammatory disease, known as PID. So there are many types of bacteria which can cause pelvic inflammatory disease. The most common ones are gonorrhea and chlamydia, and these are conditions that are sexually transmitted. So risk factors here are unprotected sex, multiple sexes with partners. You may have pain in the lower abdominal, pelvic pain, vaginal discharge, abnormal uterine bleeding, pain during intercourse, even to the extent of fevers and chills, and it might be really difficult to urinate, and you must really seek medical attention if you have any of these conditions, because if left untreated, it can lead to quite severe complications. It can lead to scar tissue on the tubes, infertility, can lead to chronic pelvic pain, and ovarian abscesses. So that is the 6, including the fibroids, medical conditions. So let's us move on to hormones. Your hormones. So here are 3 hormones that I just want us to just have a look at in this webinar. So estrogen, so that's to help with the female growth and reproductive and development. And then we've got progesterone, which supports your menstruation and pregnancy if you go on to have a child. And then we look at testosterone. So that's produced by the ovaries and the adrenal glands. We're not going to really look at much in the way of adrenal glands in this webinar, but I will do another webinar about how this all works scientifically and the importance of the adrenal glands, because it's quite important that you understand what's happening there. Predominantly we would normally think of testosterone as a male hormone, but actually it's quite paramount that we have this level looked at, and we'll look at that in a moment. So if you join my Wellness to Womb program, which you'll get details of at the end of this webinar, we will be deep diving into these hormones in a lot more detail and a lot more scientific based. And we'll be looking at how to balance them in a lot more detail from a holistic point of view. But for now, we're just going to have a look at what happens when those hormones are too high and what happens when they're too low, because either or isn't really that great. And we want to, the overall aim, because we've got pain is coming from somewhere. So we want to balance that hormonal health, and this can be often difficult when we don't know what's causing the symptoms. So let's look at our hormones on a high level. So here we have, so what's going on when our hormones are too high? So as you can see, sorry about that. Estrogen. So what's happening with our estrogen? I think I've just moved slides. Sorry about that. So if our estrogen levels are too high, we got weight gain, menstrual problems, breast swelling, soreness, hot flashes, fatigue and mood swings. So quite a lot going on there. So you might identify with some of those. If your progesterone levels are quite high, you might have difficulty losing weight, fatigue, angry, mood swings. You might have irritable bowel syndrome. So that could be that you're going to the toilet too much, passing feces too much, or you can't pass feces. So in my Wellness to Womb program, we do look at gut health in quite a lot of detail as well, because gut health is absolutely key to hormonal health, and it's not tricky, but it can be quite intense to understand what's going on in your gut. If you've never had anything diagnosed with your gut before, but there's a lot that you can do for a healthy gut. Decreased sex drive, emotional eating, we all know about that. When we're on our period, we just want to eat starch. Stress, anxiety, pain sensitivity. And then testosterone. We've got hyacinthine there, which is presence of facial hair. So that can often be like around the lip area and around the chin. Acne, alterations in menstrual cycle, which can lead to obviously problems in achieving pregnancy. So as you can see, there's a lot going on. Now, if we go to the low levels on our next slide, there's a lot going on here as well. So low levels estrogen, dry skin, tender breasts, weak orbital bones. You can read all of what's on here. Going on to the progesterone, what's happening there, and then the testosterone. Now, while I'll let you have a little read of what's on there, and I'll just have a little chat with you, because the problem that we've got is, dependent on what's going on in your life at the time, what's happening in your home life, your work life, how you've eaten, maybe 2-3 weeks before your period is due, how you've been sleeping, whatever it is that's going on in your life, your hormone levels will change from month to month. So 1 month, it could be you might have high estrogen, low progesterone. The next month, you might have low testosterone, high estrogen. And it's that's the problem. And it's getting that balance and understanding, hang on, I've got a headache. What could it be? How can I fix it? We look in my Wellness to Womb program, we look at how to maintain that balance of estrogen through diet, through movement, through stress, all of those different factors. So let's move on to the next slide. Cycle of ovulation. So this is kind of the ideal 28-day cycle, but don't worry, I'm sure none of us fit into a 28-day cycle. Most women don't. So first of all, do you know what is happening every day? Do you know what your cycle is? Because that's part of understanding your pain. So what we're going to do, what I urge you to do, if this is something that you really want to take to the next level, I'm just going to go on to the next slide for a moment. You're going to get this handy chart, and you can start to add in your key. So as you see, you've got the key, menstruation, follicular, fertile, utility. Go back in a minute and we'll have a look at that in more detail. It's just handy for you to know that this is here. There are quite a few apps out there that can do this for you. So if you wanted to do it on an app, that's fine. I can send you a link. I found a link that's quite good that shows you different apps. I think some of them are free, some of them are paid. But this is just as easy, really. I've given you 31 days because obviously we have 31 days in some months. And this is going to be quite handy for you to see where you fit into this proposed 28-day cycle. Now, whilst you will know when you're bleeding and you know how many days you're going to be bleeding, obviously on here they've got 5. You're not going to necessarily know what your follicular phase is, and you're not going to necessarily know what your fertile window is either. But if we said standard was 2 for 6 days for follicular and 2 for 5 days for fertile, if you stick with that rule of thumb, no matter how many days you bleed, you will get some idea of where you're at. Obviously the apps and things, they might go into more detail, but for me it was just easier just to show you on like a chart. And what this is going to really help you with is understanding when is your pain. So I'll talk you through what happened to me. So I would start to probably be in pain around day 21. I would start to get them twitches and the lower abdominal pain. So day 21, my pain would start, and then it would start to get quite severe by day 26. And then I would bleed on day 1. But the problem with me was I sometimes bled for 12 days. So I never really had either a follicular phase or a fertile window. Obviously, I've never had children. I have been pregnant, but they didn't go to full term. So I went down IVF, and that would work. It would plant, but it wouldn't come to pregnancy. So it's all about understanding what those windows are and how you can manage that pain within those windows. Like, so rather than, for example, lying on the settee, eating pizza, drinking wine, if you're of age, you could do something more holistic. So that's what this is all about, really. So let's move to the next slide. So back to our little chart. So obviously, as I've explained, I'll send this to you. It'll be within the pack, but I'll also send you it as a separate page, so it'll be easy for you to print if you need it. Then we're going to look at the holistic side. So this is the bit that makes me tick. So this is all about how you can use natural methods to support your health and well-being and really start to eliminate that pain. Start to really focus on connecting with your body. So number 1, nutrition. So we all know that nutrition is key when we're looking at being healthy. But I really do wish that I knew more about nutrition than I do now at the time, because it would have really have helped me a lot in those early days. So obviously we know fruit, vegetables, legumes, we need to focus on eating healthy. We also need to focus on staying hydrated and taking any vitamins that we may need to boost our immune system. So we'll look at nutrition. Then movement. So our bodies are designed to move. They're not designed to be sat at a desk, texting, on a computer, sitting watching TV. They are designed to move. They're not designed to be static, unless of course we're in corpse pose in a yoga position. So there is an actual position in yoga called corpse pose, if you didn't know already. So, but what I want to kind of explain to you in this webinar is that gentle movement creates an internal energetic energy. So when we move, we are creating our own energy within our body. And in Sanskrit, this is called prana. So prana is energy. Now the energy that you create in your own body sends a signal to your brain to switch off pain receptors. So if you know what movement you should be doing, say you've got a headache, if you know how to use your body in a mindful way, you can switch off those pain receptors in your brain. Because at the end of the day, pain is only manifesting itself because of your brain. If that brain receptor wasn't there, then you wouldn't feel the pain. Now, finding a movement that works for you is key here. You've got to like what you're doing. So yes, I'm a yoga teacher. My yoga is very gentle, it's very holistic, it's very relaxing. You're still getting energy into your body. You're still moving through that energy, moving it all around your body. But you could turn to regular walking, swimming, dancing, anything that I would say involves the ability to do something slower. So not necessarily things like running, because you might be able to run for a few weeks of the month, but then you're not going to be able to run when you're in pain. You might want to interact, so do running when you can, and then yoga and swimming when you can't. So it's all about having that ability to switch between what your body needs and what it's asking for. So one of the things when I was at school, the idea of me running like a long distance was excruciatingly painful for me. And nobody would understand that, even though I did say quite a few times to teachers, and I'm in a lot of pain. But they weren't really interested, if I'm honest. So it's all about connecting with what your body needs at that time. Now, one of the best ways of creating that energy in the body is breathing. Intentional breathing is a life changer, and it is quite amazing. And the best thing of intentional breathing is it's free. So I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about that, and that's one of the things that we do in our yoga class at the end. The next thing we're going to look at is rest and digest. Now, for all, sleep is very, very important. I can understand how difficult it can sometimes be when you're in pain. So finding good quality rest can be so effective when you're struggling with your sleep. So learning to meditate is one of those areas that you can really tap into. It's actually said that 20 minutes of meditation is the equation to around several hours of sleep. So if you've never tried meditation, now is the time to start. And that can really help with your sleep pattern as well. When you start to meditate, you start to understand how to calm the chatter brain down and calm your rest and digestive system, which we'll look at in a lot more detail in my Wellness to Womb program if you join me. So what else? External factors. So we all know that people in life get in the way. And trying to explain your pain can be quite exhausting, and because you've got nothing visible to show, there's nothing really like there for you to say, well, look, this is that I've got a broken arm or a broken leg. It's really difficult. So what I would say is surround yourself in like-minded souls for a start. Start to reach out to people who are in the same, suffering the same as you. And learn to love your own company. So connecting with your body is really key in connecting with your pain and supporting your well-being. And one of the things that we'll look at is things like finding that voice. So being able to decline parties, to say you don't want to go out for dinner because the restaurant that's chosen is I don't know, high in fat, and you're about to start your period and you know that if you eat pizza, you'll be in pain. It's all about that. It's about choices and that ability to stop accommodating other people and start to put yourself first. Stop sweeping your pain under the carpet. It's okay to tell people that you're in pain and they need to know about it. And for years and years, if someone said to me, "Are you okay?" I would go, yeah. When I wasn't, when I was in excruciating pain. But it's what we do. It's how we get through life. But maybe stop saying that and just say, "No, I'm not very well today," or "No, I'm in pain." And no, it's difficult. And it is embarrassing if someone goes, "Oh, wow, what's wrong?" But try to empower that pain and support yourself in being in control. And then other modalities. So things like beauty treatments, a massage, they're nice, they're good, they're great for really helping you feel better. But what I would say is they're not really getting to the root cause of your pain. Your pain is hormonal, and it's the hormones that need balancing. So if you are, let's say you are eating really, really well, you've started to do regular movement, you're finding you're doing regular meditation, and then you're still not feeling great, first of all, it's going to take time. It's going to take that ability to connect with your body. However, sometimes you are going to need external things to help you through. So other modalities, so such as reflexology, Reiki, crystal healing, colour therapy, sound baths, acupuncture. Now, all of those things are dealing with the energetic force in your body. So they're not dealing with your brain necessarily. They're dealing with the areas in your body that need attention. So when we talk about Reiki, if you've never heard of Reiki, Reiki is a hands-on healing therapy. Now, the way I describe it to people, I'm a reflexologist and a Reiki master. Reflexology is absolutely brilliant for connecting your feet with your body. So by massaging and pressing into different parts of your feet, you will feel that energetic release. It might be a little bit painful, but you will feel that energetic release from your pain in your body. Reiki is a bit more like a massage for the soul, I would say. That's kind of the way I describe it. So you're it's a reboot. So you reboot your computer, you reboot your phone all of the time. We're rebooting all of this electrical things that we use every day. But do we reboot us? So if you have ever done any crystal healing, crystals are an amazing way to heal. And I will be in the future doing more online things with crystals. But crystals are a great way of understanding where there's any sort of conflict in the body, if you like. And we will go into that in a lot more detail in my Wellness to Womb program as well. We'll look at crystal healing, we'll look at all of these modalities in a lot more detail. And you'll get to understand how to work with crystals. And it is quite fascinating. And I did also mention acupuncture. So acupuncture is with the little needles going in to the body, and that can be really wonderful for clearing out those, they're called meridians. So meridians are like pathways to the nervous system in the body, and they moves all around in the body. And sometimes those pathways just get stuck. It's like as if there's a car crash somewhere and there's a big pile up and it's just all stuck. So I had a car crash actually, and I had whiplash, and I had acupuncture for the whiplash, and I think it did really, really work. It did really clear those pathways in my neck. So that could be something else that you could look at and learn about. So let's move on. The what, the why, and the how. So as I mentioned to you at the beginning, the 5 areas that we're going to look at is going to be put into 3 categories: the love, the rest, and the life. So for the love section, you're going to learn how to love yourself, how to connect with your body, your own heart, and your mind in a profound way, because this will actually have a massive impact on how you balance those hormones. Then we'll look at rest. So we've covered whilst sleep is important, we need regular rest, and that is also a necessity for hormone health. Now, rest doesn't mean sleep, and it doesn't mean doing nothing. Think of hobbies when you think of rest. So think of things like using your brain, your creative side, tapping into something that you've always wanted to do, or something that you've always wanted to be interested in. So, for example, you're tapping into your rest now by learning something else about your body. Then life. So we've covered lots of external factors hinder our well-being. So we're going to look at ways that you can find a voice, share your feelings about your journey, and basically what it's like to live, with this disability, and how we plan, how can we, it's good to assess. So by looking at when our pain is happening, we can plan our life. We can say, no, I'm not going to do that then, because I might be in pain. It's not necessarily that you are going to be in pain, but you might be. And then repeat. So this is probably the hardest thing, is maintaining that holistic lifestyle, repeating it, knowing when to let go. So, when you need a treat, when you need that pizza, when you need that glass of wine, but then being mindful of those choices that you make. So identifying perhaps when is the best time of the month where I can have pizza and wine. When is it not going to affect me as much as it would at another time? So it's just about making choices. So we're going to go on to your body, and we're going to just go through what we are going to do. So if you join my Wellness to Womb program, obviously I'm going to be here with you, going through all of these in a lot more detail. I'll be there with you for nutritional advice, movement, everything that we need to do to make this work. But you've got the tools here in this webinar if you want to go away and try this on your own. So what I would say is we've got 6 slides here, 2 for body, 2 for rest, and 2 for the planning. What I want you to be mindful of is, obviously in week 1, you're going to have week 1 for body, week 1 for rest, and then you're going to have week 1 for life. So you're going to have quite a lot of things to think about in each month, in each section. It'll come to life once we move through. So let's just look at your love your body first. So week 1. So if I could give you one piece of advice that I really would want you to take away today from this webinar, is that sugar is your killer. Sugar is the biggest problem that you will face leading to pain, and I can't stress that enough. So if there's one thing you need to eliminate from your diet right now, it's sugar. By all means, have a little bit of chocolate, try and make it dark chocolate, with things like cakes and I know it's difficult and I know it's really hard. But say if you have 2 sugars and 3 cups of tea a day, that is just not going to be good for your body. Week 1 to 4, 10 minutes breath work. So I mentioned in the first part of this about intentional breathing. So you don't need an app, you don't need me, you don't need a video, you don't need anyone to tell you how to breathe, or maybe you do. So I just want you to take a deep breath in through your nose now, and then a deep breath out through your nose. So inhale and exhale. That's intentional breathing. 10 minutes, it's quite a long time. Maybe just start with 2 minutes a day, 1 minute a day, maybe do it in the shower, maybe do it whilst you're on your way to work. Start to connect with your body, start to understand how doing that 10-minute breath work creates that prana, that energy, because that's what we've been talking about, that you need to stop this pain. And connecting with your own body, that's all you need to do in week 1 to 4. Cut out sugar, 10 minutes breath work. In the next month, you're going to start looking at intentional movement. So I want you to do around 3 times of 20 minutes each day of movement. You can have access to my YouTube channel. There's quite a lot of 20-minute or less movement practices on there. You can just do one of those, or you can just go and do 20-minute walk. You do need to be walking as well, but 20 minutes intentional movement, that's what you need to be doing 3 out of 7, so 3 days out of 7. I also want you to stop snacking, so eating biscuits, chocolate in between meals, and I want you to start seeing if you can figure out when you need alone time. So you will have started to complete that chart, so you'll know when you might be in pain, or you might be moody, or you just need to be alone, and start to see if you can identify when that is, and maybe book some time in. 3 months down, I want you to start looking at how you can move when you're in pain. So rather than going and lying on the settee, whether you've got stomach pains, abdominal pains, backache, headache, shoulder pain, whatever pain it is, I want you to really start looking at moving. Get moving. Get up and move. It doesn't need to be much. You'll see in the video at the end what we do for an hour and 20 minutes. We're not breaking a sweat, but we're moving with intention. If you drink alcohol and caffeine, I want you to start trying to reduce it. So both of these are going to really trigger your pain. I'm not going to tell you to give it up. I don't drink alcohol now. I do still drink caffeine, but I only have 1 cup on a morning. Maybe have another cup mid-morning. Sometimes it is decaf, but that's still caffeine and decaf. But I would say start trying to reduce it. And then journaling. So if you've never heard of journaling before, just buy a blank book and just start to try and write about what it is that you're doing. Write about how you're feeling. You know, you've got your little leaflet with your little cycle in. So, you know, maybe on one day where you're feeling really low, maybe pop an entry in your journal. Maybe say, oh, I did a 20-minute class and it made me feel like this. Just start to really connect with what you're doing and what the outcome is. Then we move on to 6 months, 9 months and a year. So 6 months down the line, you want to eliminate external factors. So that's kind of things like saying no to people, really. So not attending an event if it's not something that you want to do. If you think you're going to be in pain then you don't go. You're not doing things to appease others. You're doing things for your health. Regular movement. So now you are regularly moving and you are feeling that benefit. You are understanding what your body needs. So you might get up in the morning and you know, I need to move my shoulders, or I've got pain in my hips, I need to move my hips. And you're eating mindfully. So you're not sitting watching the TV whilst you're eating. You're eating something, enjoying it, taking your time, chewing it properly. 9 months down, regular visit for modalities. So this doesn't mean that you have to be spending a fortune on going for reflexology treatments, Reiki treatments all of the time. You can do things yourself. You can do crystal treatments yourself, a crystal meditation. A wonderful thing to do, which is relatively cheap, is an Epsom salt bath. Buy a big bag of Epsom salts and you put them in the bath, and this is amazing for a liver detox and really calms down the sympathetic nervous system. We cover all about liver health and sympathetic nervous system in my Wellness to Womb program. If you don't have a bath, then fill up a washing up bowl or a bucket with water, put the salts in, pop your feet in your legs, maybe it's up to like your calves, and just sit back and relax. And the salt is wonderful for your liver, for just really relaxing, and you'll really feel the benefits, and that's going to cost you next to nothing. And then you're gonna actually, after 1 year, you can identify triggers in your body. So after 12 months of really focusing on what you're doing, you're able to treat yourself when you need to, when you want to, say no when you need to, and just really make time for yourself. Excuse me. So let's move on. We're an hour in nearly, I think. So, discover your rest. So, week 1. So, drink more water. So, filtered water is key here. I'll send you a link with details of a water filter that I've bought in the last 2 years, which is really, really effective. You don't get these plastic refills now. It's just like a little sachet that you put in, and there's different options you can choose from depending on your health. It's quite good. I don't know whether the water that I'm drinking is making me feel better or what, but I do like the idea of those plastic things not going into the environment. So drink warm water. You're going to do walking meditation and connect with the earth. So a walking meditation can be on, can be just out and about with your friends or a dog or whatever. And you're going to open your eyes when you're out on this walk and really notice what it is that you've never noticed before. So really be cathartic on that. If it's summer and you don't feel so stupid, go for bare feet. So take your socks and shoes off and feel your feet on the grass or the sand. If it's winter and it's a bit too cold to be going outside, I mean, I quite like going outside in the cold, if I'm honest, wrapped up. But if for any reason you don't really want to go outside, then stay in the home and notice what you see around the home that you haven't noticed before. I want you to really connect with the earth here, so you're connecting with the ground beneath you. This is really paramount in hormone health. We really need to be stable, feel stability, feel grounded. 1 month in, and you're going to practice yin or yoga nidra. So you've got the tools. I've got some lovely practices on my YouTube video. If you join my Wellness to Womb, you'll be getting extra practices here. And I'll be doing live practices with you, especially for you. These practices are really essential at the time of the month when you're feeling tired and emotional. They're a really good reboot. Actually really ideal for when you're bleeding, when you're actually on your period, because they're really gentle and you're just still working with your breath, so you're still getting that energy through your body. I want you to create a healthy snack. I'll send you a recipe, so I want you to do that and have that available. And then you're going to plan self-care. So this doesn't need to break the bank, as we've already covered in the Care for Your Body one. Some of them are going hand in hand. So you could do your own facial, paint your nails, soak your feet. Anything that takes you away from the normal things that you do. So if you eat your dinner and then sit in front of the TV, or you're coming from work and sit in front of the TV, or whatever, or you're rushing about all over the place doing things for everybody else, stop, book some time in, plan some self-care. It's paramount. And then 3 months in, you're going to be doing gentle movement with breath is key to alleviate any stress and anxiety. I want you to create some juices and smoothies. This is a great way to introduce natural sugars into your body and essential vitamins and minerals. I can send you over details of the juicer that I've got, and I've got a NutriBullet for smoothies. So you could invest in a juicer. Excuse me. So essential vitamins, and then we're going to implement a regular meditation practice. So if you aren't sleeping very well, you really want to be implementing this into your regime. So let's go on to the next 3 months for your rest. So 6 months down the line, you're going to arrange 3 dates with yourself. So maybe go out for coffee, go for lunch on your own, go to an art gallery, go for a walk. Whatever it is, I want you to book it in. So book it into your diary and then journal about it. So maybe take your journal with you if you go for a coffee or lunch or something. I want you to find a new hobby, and I want you to make that relatable to holistic health. So you might be interested in essential oils, herbs, crystals. You might want to deep dive more into biology of women's health, learning more about the physicality and what is wrong with you if you've been diagnosed. There's so much out there that you can learn. Sorry about that. Heidi's decided she wants a cuddle, so she's come for a cuddle. Bless her. It's just easier just to let her come for a cuddle. So where are we? Learning a new skill. So learn a new skill, and I want you to make this food relatable. So maybe learn a new recipe. So if you currently eat meat quite a lot, maybe you could create a vegetarian or a vegan meal. Use a new ingredient that you've never used before. So make that relatable to food. 9 months in, you're going to regularly find time to be alone. Now, I know this is difficult if you've got family commitments, but I want you to think about this in terms of maybe you travel to work, or when you're in the shower, brushing your teeth. And if you are someone who watches TV a lot, then you don't really have an excuse, because you can just leave that TV. And if the family are all in watching TV, you don't necessarily need to be watching the TV. So I want you to also get creative, so discover more about what makes you tick. Perhaps you've always wanted to learn a new language, play a musical instrument, or you're interested in poetry or art. Let the brain rest without slipping. So watching Netflix isn't letting the brain rest. Part of we'll do some work. Well, I will do some work in the Wellness to Womb program on the chakra health, and our chakra in our stomach area is all about getting creative. Now, obviously, with our hormone health, this is probably where a lot of the pain is stimulating from and coming from. So this is why we need to get creative. This is why we have that drive and that necessity to be creative. So let's move on. So, oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. So we're moving on to the life. Enjoy your life. Yeah. Sorry about that. So week 1, so communicating your change. So I want you to buy, when you're starting to do this now, I want you to buy a new notebook. So you're going to really start to plan now, plan effectively, plan in your life, your key to how you're going to communicate this change. This is your life. It's your pain. You need to take ownership of it, and buying a notebook and journaling about it is really going to help you to focus. 1 month in, so we've looked at body and rest. You're going to start tracking. You've started to track that body and rest now. You're going to try 2 new foods and create a new meal. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of overlap in between, but that's okay. We can still focus on how we get to that overall goal. 3 months in, you're going to regularly meal plan, and that comes hand in hand with mindfully food shopping. So if you meal plan a week in advance, you can shop for what you need for those meals, and that obviously cuts costs, and it's much more economical, but also it stops you from eating something that you shouldn't. And then you're going to book a yoga event. Now that could be something away from the home. It could be something nearer to your home. You might be able to find somebody near to you who could do an event. It could be something online. You don't need to pay for something. You could find something free online. Whatever it is, I want you to book something in, so you're taking accountability for your life and your wellness. Then 6 months in, so you're going to be expressive now within 6 months, and really start to share your journey, really starting to connect with that ability to own your pain. Your pain still might be severe 6 months down the line. You still might be having problems, but you've now got those tools to tap into, and you're not hindered by those external factors either. You're sharing your journey with others, and you're able to do that eloquently. If someone says how you're feeling and you say I'm not very well, you can eloquently express that, and you know how to say no. 9 months down the line, you're easily able to turn to self-care, and you understand your body now. You understand what it needs to eliminate pain. You don't watch as much TV, and you avoid social media so that your hormones are not triggered unnecessarily by these external factors. And you're just going to revisit your journal history. So you might have a couple of journals on the go here. I have several different journals for different reasons. But just have a read back and see how far you've come when you get to your 9-month goal. It's quite good. And then 1 year, you're continuing to learn more about holistic health through nutrition, through movement, biology, other modalities, and you make regular time for yourself every single month. So let's just have a quick overview of those 5 steps. So movement. So as we've covered, our body is designed to move, to be gentle, learn to love the moves. Nutrition, the right fuel at the right time is key. Rest, when we rest our bodies, we learn to digest and relax in a mindful state. Fun, when we enjoy what we are doing, happy hormones are released, which is super important. And discovery, so understanding the why and the how is key to you connecting with your body and mind. If you know what's going on and you know how to put that right, then that's quite amazing. And then obviously just repeat and keep going. So let's move on. So I understand that's quite a lot to take in, but obviously, as I've said, I'll be sending you a handout as well. I will also be sending you details of my Wellness to Womb program, which is a program to cover the next 12 months. You can start this program at any time that suits you, and it will really reduce your monthly period pains, and I would recommend bringing joy to your life as well. You'll have full access to all the training, specific downloads, goals, handouts. Now in my full coaching program, you'll get 3 45-minute coaching sessions with me. During our time together, we'll discuss what's the best way to support you. You'll get that one-to-one support. I can support you with communicating with family, friends, your boss, your medical practitioner, anything that you find stressful or confusing. Now, I know that 12 months might seem like a long time. Obviously, this is achievable in a shorter amount of time. But what I would say is that until you start to chart your monthly periods, you might not know this, but you might only have about 9 periods in a year. You don't necessarily have 12. So we could get through this quicker. It's entirely up to you how quickly you move through the program. But I have designed it for a 12-month program so that your life is changing forever. This isn't just something that you are going to dip in and dip out of. You are going to make these changes, be accountable, and get this pain under control and allow the joy to come back into your life. So I think that's about it from me. I will send you details of the program in the next few days, but in the meantime, you can start implementing all of the progress in your body, rest and life. So you've got this, you've really got it, you can do this. So when you're ready to join me on the mat, here's your unique link to the intro to the practice. So this tells you everything that you need to set yourself up for this practice. And then if we go on to the next slide, you've got the actual practice with me, 80 minutes of movement, breath and relaxation. And you can do this at any time of the month. Sometimes some parts of it might be easier than others, and other times the opposite. It just depends on you and all the other factors going on in your life. Remember, every day is a different day depending on what other factors are going on, and you can get through this, you really can. So let me just take you to the end of this slide. So I would love to keep in touch. If you do have any questions about anything that I've talked about in this webinar today, please do reach out. I've automatically subscribed you into my mailing list, so look out for any newsletters, anything on social media. Because of my own health, I'm not on social media constantly. It's not something that I do, but please do reach out. I try and keep up to date with YouTube videos and blog posts so that I can really share everything that I know, and I just really want you to be in a state of joy, not pain. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I really do hope that you've left today with something that will really help you. Heidi's fast asleep now, so I'll let you go. Thanks again. Namaste.